Hi there. My name is Mark Cormier. This is Morning Flow. Thank you for joining us. My wife Kathy will be with us soon enough. Welcome. So, let's start in a cross-legged sit. Doesn't matter which leg's in front, although traditionally the right leg's going to be a little bit, generally is in closer than the left if you were to pick which way to go. So, in our sit, finding our sits bones, long and tall through the crown. I'll invite you to bring your hands onto your knees, pulling back with your hands as we sit up a little straighter, a little taller. A slight tuck of the chin as we start to take our attention inward. And we can start this morning just watching as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. Now, from this place of just watching your breath, I'll invite you to shape your breath as you find a long, slow inhalation, matched by a long, slow exhalation. As you breathe in, I'll invite you to find a full body breath, bringing the air to the top of the chest, the base of the belly, filling up each side waist, filling up both front and back planes of your body. As you breathe out, I'll encourage you to engage your abdominals as you draw the low belly in and up, concurrently lifting the kidneys in and up, like squeezing a tube of toothpaste from all sides, also providing structural support for our low back as we move through these shapes and sequences. Now moving towards the Ujjayi or ocean breath, a slight constriction of the base of your throat to add a slight sound and feel to your breath. And as we flow through our practice this morning, letting the sound and feel of your breath be a focus for your practice, often compared to the sound of the waves of the ocean as the waves wash in and as the waves wash out. Keeping all this, I'll invite you to take the tip of your tongue to the hard palate just behind your teeth, keeping that tongue loop throughout the practice, keeping our jaws relaxed and connecting front and back planes of our bodies. And finally, with your lips closed, adding a slight smile to your face, opening up the front of your throat so your breath has lots of room to circulate, refresh, and revitalize. Now lifting the chin tall through the crown, I'll invite you to switch the cross of your legs. Finding your sits bones, hands come onto the knees, pulling back with the hands to sit up a little straighter, a little taller. Again, a slight tuck of the chin as we take our attention inward, just watching as our Ujjayi breath flows in and as our Ujjayi breath flows out. As we sit with the second cross of the legs, I'll invite you to put your mind in your hips and just notice how your hips feel. And as we hold the second cross of our legs, another 3 or 4 breaths, just letting those hips relax. As those sits bones get a little bit heavier, and from the heaviness of that sits bones, feeling very light, very long in the spine. Now I'll invite you to uncross your legs. Let's find 2 long legs in front. And let's bring our hands, the heels of our hands to our hips. And just giving our hips a little love and consideration. Now bringing our fingers to our low back. And just give our low back a little love and consideration. From a seated position, let's find an all-fours position on our mat. And I'll invite Kathy to come and take my place here in front of the camera. Welcome, Kathy. And we'll start with that all-fours position. And we'll just gander on over, just make sure you're in frame. All right, beautiful. I'm going to practice behind the camera. In this all fours position, just noticing your neutral spine to the back of the head, in line with the sacrum, pretty much a flat back, although backs have different shapes. And just trying to feel that line of energy. From here, let's play with an arc and an arch to the back with the cat-camel combo. Breathing in, lifting chin and tail. Breathing out, tucking toes, tucking tail, tucking chin as we round it in. A couple more times like this. Breathing in, lifting it up. Exhaling, rounding it in. Breathing in, lifting it up. Exhaling, rounding it in. Let's throw a child's pose into the mix. Breathing in, finding an arc to the back. Big toes touch. We can round the spine as we take sits bones back to the heels, tucking chin and tail. Inhaling, coming on up, finding an arc to the back. On the exhale, drawing it back as we find an arch. One more time like this, breathing in, coming up. Exhaling, drawing it back. Let's add a diagonal to each side, breathing in, coming up center. Now taking sits bones back to one heel. Inhaling, coming up center, and then finding that other heel. Two more times each way, breathing in, coming up center. Exhaling back to first heel. Inhaling, coming up center. On the exhale, finding that other heel. One more time each way, breathing in. Breathing out, drawing it back. Breathing in, lifting it up. Exhaling, drawing it back. Now let's turn our exercise into a figure eight. Inhaling, coming up center. Drawing it back to one heel. Keep the hips low as we find that other heel. Up on the other diagonal. Shifting shoulders and hips. And back to first heel. Two more times in this direction. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, figure eighting it back. One more time. Inhaling up. Exhaling back. Now let's take the figure eights the other way. Up on the other diagonal. Shifting shoulders and hips and back to second heel. Inhaling up. Exhaling, drawing it back. Inhaling up. Exhaling, drawing it back. And then I'll invite you to come back to an all fours position. Let's walk one knee back and then the other for a little more length in our all fours. And we'll get to our down dog with the cat-camel combo. Breathing in, lifting chin and tail. And then tucking the toes, rounding the spine, tailbone high, high, high. And then finding your flat back as you push into the hands and stretch those heels down. As we hold this first down dog of our practice, I'll invite you to bend one leg deeply as you ground down through the opposite heel, and then finding that same stretch on the second side. And then freely moving back and forth between the sides. Just seeing how your body feels this morning. What feels tight, what feels right, what feels somewhere in between. And then from this place of movement, moving back towards relative stillness, long arms, long legs, long spine, deep, full breath. And although there's no overt movement, there's still lots going on. You're breathing, your heart's beating, your mind's moving. And by coming back to that focus on your breath, finding a little more space between each breath, each thought, each beat of the heart, and breathing into that space. From down dog, I'll invite you to bend the knees ever so slightly as you lift the tailbone a little bit higher. More space in the low back. And then looking between the hands as you mindfully make your way to the front of your mat. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. Exhaling, folding again. On the inhale, moving towards a flat back, arms out to the side, and then overhead. On the exhale, hands by your side. I'll invite you to face the camera as you bring your hands to your heart. Refocusing our attention inward, watching as our breath flows in and watching as our breath flows out. Now lifting the chin tall through the crown, hands by our side. So just finding a width of stance that works for you. So Kathy's working a very narrow stance. If that's too narrow, you could always widen it, and that can change throughout the practice. From our feet, finding our legs. From our legs, finding our spine. Relax shoulders. Sun salutation A. Letting an inhale, bring the arms up and over the head. On the exhale, leading with the heart as you fold. Take a breath to lift chin, tail, and then folding again, grounding down through the hands and making your way back to down dog. Either cycling through vinyasa or just stretching straight back. Kathy's chosen vinyasa. She's finding chaturanga. She's inhaling into her back bend. That's a pretty big cobra. Her hips are still down. And then rolling over the toes. And she takes it back to down dog and holds. As we hold down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to your hands. Lots of space between each finger, grounding down a little more predominantly between the thumb and the forefinger as we draw the energy up the inseams of the arms. Shoulders engaged, either keeping the neck relaxed and the head super, super heavy, or lengthening through all sides of the neck as we look back towards our navel. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone a little bit higher, and then looking between the hands as you step, or maybe take that jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, folding again. Inhaling, hands over head pose. Exhaling, standing tall. Second one, much like the first, we'll throw a moving plank into the mix here. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, folding again. And grounding on down, making your way back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Yogi's choice. Now feeling free to hold down dog, or if you want to generate more tapas or heat, I'll invite you to inhale forward to plank pose, and then navel to spine as you lift the hips high. So just the plank first off. Inhaling forward to plank, and then drawing it back. Inhaling forward to plank, and then drawing it back. Now we'll take it further if you choose. Inhaling forward to plank, shoulders stay engaged, let the hips get a little heavy, and then navel to spine as you lift the hips high, back to down dog. Inhaling forward to plank, if appropriate, let those hips get a little heavy, and then navel to spine as you lift the hips high. One more time. Inhaling forward to plank pose, let those hips get a little heavy, and then navel to spine as you lift the hips high, and holding your down dog for another couple of breaths. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone a little bit higher, and then looking between the hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, fold. Inhaling, hands over head pose. Exhaling, standing tall. Sun salutation B. We'll do it flow style. It starts with a chair, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up, glutes engaged to support a half back bend at the top. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length as you lift chin and tail. And then on the exhale, rounding the spine as you ground on down, making your way back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. From down dog, flow style. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky for the three-legged dog. High on the left toes. And then looking between the hands as you bring that right foot through, landing it lightly, spinning the back heel down, finding your balance, arms up and over the head for warrior one. And then riding your exhale back to low lunge as you spin that back heel up. And from low lunge, back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back, yogi's choice. From down dog, second side, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Now looking between the hands, bringing that left foot through, landing it lightly as you spin the back heel down, arms up and over the head. And then letting your next exhale carry you back down to low lunge. Take your time. And then from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will, either cycling through vinyasa, stretching straight back. There's other choices to be made. You could always sneak in all fours, maybe sneak in a child's pose, always balancing your effort with your ease. Wherever you are, always feeling free to stay there. From down dog, long smooth breath in, long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone a little higher, more space in the low back, and then looking between the hands as you either step or take that jump front. Take a breath to find length when you arrive, arcing the spine. On the exhale, rounding the back as you fold again. Now moving towards a flat back, hinging at the hips, finding our Utkatasana, flow style. Exhaling, taking it down lower. On the inhale, rising on up, glutes engaged, supporting a little back bend at the top, open heart, open throat. And then on the exhale, neutral spine, hands by our side. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart. A slight tuck of the chin as we refocus our attention inward, watching as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. Now lifting the chin tall through the crown, I'll invite you to bring your hands to your hips as you either step or hop your feet hip width apart. My favorite exercise here, a little bit of a palate cleanser. On the inhale, we'll bring the arms up to one side. On the exhale, we'll pass the hands through center, bending the knees, giving those wrists a flick. And then second side. And just back and forth. Let it be loose. Let it be liquid. A couple more each way. One more each side. And then back up. I'll invite you to either step or jump it in, thin like a pin. An extended standing pose sequence. We'll try to get all of the classic standing poses in, save for perhaps one. And sun salutation C, finding our chair. Inhale. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take your time. Take a breath to lift chin and tail as we arc the back. On the exhale, arching the spine as we fold again. And grounding down through the hands and making your way back to down dog as you will. So we're going to add a hip opener to our three-legged dog. So big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. I'm trying to keep that right shoulder just as it is, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that lifted leg, opening up that hip. Now looking between the hands as we bring that right foot through, spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head for our warrior one. In warrior one, I'll invite you to bring hands back to the hips as we shift weight onto the front foot to lengthen our stance. With our hands on our hips, we can steer our hips front. Now stretching out our wrists, four fingers find the tip of the thumb, trying to touch the front of the wrist. Yeah, if you want to do a little movement, go for it. Now bringing those bird beaks onto our shoulders to relax our shoulders and square our heart front. Now finding a clasp of the fingers behind the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat, elbows wide to the side. And then keeping that space in fourth and fifth chakra, heart and throat chakra, we can stretch those hands high to the sky. From here, I'll invite you to really exaggerate the action with the wrists here. So breathing in, we'll straighten the front leg as we spin the palms back, gathering up the energy. On the exhale, we'll spin the palms out as we find cactus arms, offering that energy out. Let's do 6 of these. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. We're halfway done. Breathing in, breathing out. Last 2, breathing in, breathing out. Last 1, breathing in, breathing out, and holding. The elbows move back, the hands come with, and I'll invite you to ripple those fingers. A little smile on your face, or a big smile, or a silly smile. Now turning warrior 1 into warrior 2. Hands find the heart. We open up the hips. We can narrow the stance, heel to arch alignments. The classic alignment in warrior 2. If that's too tight, feel free to go wider. And then finding one long arm, looking out over those front fingers with that mixture of effort and ease. Kind of that no nonsense in a good way look. From here, let's paint rainbows. And again, I'll invite you to really exaggerate that front wrist. Breathing in, spinning the wrist back. Exhaling, flat palm. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Halfway done. Breathing in, breathing out. Last 2, breathing in, breathing out. Last 1, let's hold the reverse warrior. Reaching up higher, reaching down further. Feeling the stretch of that front lateral line. Breathing into that space between each rib. And finding more space as you breathe. Now coming back to our warrior 2. From here, transitioning to Trikonasana. Thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib. Deepening that crease, lengthening those ribs. Grounding that bottom hand down in an appropriate place. Opening up top shoulder with left hand. Stretching hand high to the sky. As we hold the triangle with every inhale, gathering energy in your center of balance, 3 fingers below the navel. Every time you breathe out from that place of balance, getting longer through 2 arms, 2 legs, both ends of the spine. And then finding a place to look. That works for your body, your balance, down to the ground, very grounding. Off to the horizon, a little less so. Up to the sky, least so, but perhaps the most liberating. From our triangle pose, I'll invite you to bring hand to hip as we come back up to our warrior 2. And from warrior 2, I'll suggest a big windmill of the arms as you find your low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog as you will. Take your time. Either cycling through vinyasa, or just stretching straight back, or sneaking in our resting pose instead. So we're going to stay on the same side, and we're going to go through a revolved pose sequence. But first we'll start with that same hip opener. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart, right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. Trying to keep that right shoulder just as it is, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that lifted leg, opening up that hip. Now looking between the hands, we're going to bring that right foot through, spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head for warrior 1. In warrior 1, we'll bring hands back to the hips as we shift weight onto the front foot, lengthening our stance if appropriate. Keeping right hand on right hip, that's the hip of the front bent leg. We're going to find length on the left side as we reach up, straightening front leg without locking knee. On the exhale, reaching out. Breathing in, reaching up. Exhaling, reaching out. Breathing in, reaching up. Exhaling, reaching out. We're halfway done. Breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. We got one more to go. Breathing in, lifting up. Breathing out, reach, reach, reach. We're moving towards revolved, extended side angle. We'll start a twist with the wrist. Sliding to the elbow. Finding your prayer hands. Either looking down off to the side or up past that top elbow with a mixture of effort and ease. We're twisted. We're balancing. Still keeping an easeful quality to your breath. and watching that breath as it flows in and as it flows out. Now let's come out of our twist easefully as we frame front foot with both hands. Big step in on the back foot, big angle on the back foot, straightening the front leg without locking the knee as we move towards Parsvottanasana or pyramid pose. Yeah, relaxed neck, heavy head. If your hands can make the floor, you'll be a little bit more grounded, so you might bend the knee a little bit more. Neck relaxed, head heavy. I'll invite you to let your shoulders melt down towards the floor as we get a nice stretch in our upper back. Now putting your mind in your hips, we're going to move between Warrior 1 hips and Warrior 2 hips. Right now our hips are squared front. I'll allow you to swing the hips out to the side and back front. Out to the side and back front. Out to the side and back front. Let's do a couple more. Swinging hips out and back front. Swinging hips out and back front. Now keeping the hips squared front, we'll move towards the revolved triangle. We can lengthen our stance as we step that back foot back a little bit. You might decrease the angle on that back foot, say to about 30 degrees. Right hand comes to the sacrum, the palm faces up. We want to walk the left hand in, so in towards the big toe, and either staying on the big toe side of things or crossing the wrist over the ankle. Yogi's choice. Yeah, it doesn't look like you've got enough height to do that, so I'll suggest staying on the big toe side with your hand. Yeah, so come back to this place so you can ground down, right? Now, we're going to keep the hand on the sacrum. We're going to lengthen as we turn our heart towards the straight front leg. Either keeping the hand on the sacrum, or you might use that hand to open up that shoulder. And then maybe stretching that hand high to the sky. Yeah, so Kathy will look so much better with a brick here. Now, if you don't have a brick, no big deal. I'm going to give her a brick so she's a little more spacious in the shape. Yeah. Nice. You want to feel arm and shoulder working together. Nice. You want to feel here. Stay stable there. Nice. Look at that. And that brick really opens up this shape for Kathy. Awesome. From here, let's come out of our revolved triangle easily, framing front foot with both hands. You can lose that brick. And then taking a big step back as you find your little lunge. I was going to cue you to lunge first, and then from the lunge, back to down dog as you go. Deep, full breaths. Before we do our second side with those 4 major standing poses, I'll invite a repeat of that core exercise we did before as we inhale forward to plank pose, and then on the exhale, lifting hips high. Inhaling forward to the plank, on the exhale, lifting hips high. Inhaling forward to the plank, on the exhale, lifting hips high. Now we're going to take it further if appropriate. Inhaling forward to the plank, shoulders stay engaged, the hips get a little heavy, kind of like up dog with tucked toes. And then, but not so big, you don't have to go that big. And then navel to spine as you lift the hips high. Inhaling forward to the plank. You want to stay super engaged, so the hips are going to get a little bit heavy. You're not just sagging. You really, lots of engagement, and then navel to spine as you lift the hips high. One more time. Inhaling forward to the plank. Hips get a little heavy with lots of engagement. Feel that center. And then navel to spine as you lift the hips high. And then that's pretty hard. So if you wanted to sneak in a child's pose, go for it. I'll wait for you. In our yoga practice, always taking time for ourselves, making sure there's always that element of ease, no matter how hard we're working. Working hard, but in the right amount. And when you're ready, we'll move back to the down dog place. And we'll start that second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. We'll work that same hip opener. Left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Trying to keep that left shoulder just as it is, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that lifted leg, opening up that hip. It feels so good. And then looking between the hands as you bring that left foot through, spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head for our Warrior One. Now in Warrior One, let's bring hands back to the hips as we shift weight onto the front foot to lengthen our stance. With our hands on our hips, we can steer our hips front. Now working that wrist stretch again. 4 fingers find the tip of a thumb. We try to touch the front of our wrist. If you want to add a little movement, go for it. And then bringing those bird beaks onto our shoulders, relaxing our shoulders and squaring our heart front. Now bringing a clasp of the fingers behind the head, and I'll invite you to walk the fingers one over as we find that other clasp. Pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat, 4th and 5th chakra, community and communication. And then stretching those hands high to the sky. And I'll invite you to really exaggerate the wrists here. Breathing in as we spin the palms back, gathering up the energy. So the wrists are going to go the other way, this way. Yeah, there it is. And now spinning the palms out as we find cactus arms. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. We're halfway done. Breathing in, breathing out. Last 2, breathing in, breathing out. Last 1, breathing in, breathing out, and holding cactus arms. The elbows move back, the wrists come with, rippling those fingers. Feels so good. Now turning Warrior One into Warrior Two. Hands find the heart. We open up the hips. We narrow the stance if appropriate. And then finding one long arm, looking out over those front fingers with that steady yet relaxed gaze. I'm going to ask you, looks like your footwork looks a little convoluted here. So make sure everything's in one line here. So you want the knee in line with 2nd and 3rd toe right there. Yeah. And then, yeah, looks good. Thank you so much. I just want you to be safe in this shape. So that floor is a little slippery. From here, painting rainbows. Breathing in, and again, really exaggerate that wrist. Back to flat palm. Breathing in, lifting up. Back to flat palm. Breathing in. And breathing out. We're halfway done. Breathing in. Breathing out. Last 2, breathing in. Breathing out. Last 1, we'll hold that reverse warrior. Reaching up higher, reaching down further. Finding more space in that front lateral line. Breathing into that space, finding more space between each rib. Massaging yourself from the inside out. And then from the reverse warrior, back to Warrior Two. From here, transitioning to the triangle. Thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib. Deepening that crease, lengthening those ribs. Grounding bottom hand down in an appropriate place. Opening up top shoulder. Stretching hand high. And either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky. And I'll give you a little pro tip. You're kind of already doing it. But lining that thumb up with that shin bone a little bit more obviously. Yeah, spreading those fingers, boom. That opens up that bottom shoulder. As we hold the shape, breathing into your center of balance. 3 fingers below the navel. And then from that place, connecting the center of yourself to the periphery of the universe. Connecting with the pulsation of your breath. From our triangle pose, I'll invite you to come back up to your Warrior Two, which you bend that front knee. And then from this place, a big windmill of the arms as we find our low lunge, spinning that back heel up. And from low lunge, back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. And if that brick is bothersome, feel free to move it out of the way for now. So we're going to move towards 3 more standing poses. We'll start with the hip opener first. So first we'll visit revolved extended side angle. We'll turn it into Parsvottanasana, the hamstring stretch. From Parsvottanasana, we'll lengthen our stance a little bit, and we'll find Parivrtta Trikonasana, the revolved triangle. So it all starts with the hip opener. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Keeping that left shoulder just as it is, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that lifted leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands as we bring that left foot through, Spinning the back heel down, finding our warrior one, arms up and over the head. Now I'll invite you to bring hands back to the hips as we lengthen our stance, sliding that back foot back. From here, left hand on left hip, that's that bent front leg. We'll find length on the far side, reaching up, and then reaching out. Reaching up, and then reaching out. Reaching up, and out. We're halfway down. Reaching up, and out. Last two. Reaching up, and out. Last one, reaching up, and then reaching out. We'll start the twist with the wrist. Sliding to the elbow, finding your prayer hands, either looking down, off to the side, or up past that top elbow with that mixture of effort and ease. And I know on the wooden floor, that's awfully slippery. But yeah, let that, so you've got the back heel up. I'm going to suggest, ground down through the back heel. You might shorten the stance. Yeah, and maybe it looks like you're about 15 degrees. That's a nice place to work, but really try to ground down through that back heel if you can. Strength of the back leg gives you the stability to find a little more twist, a little more ease in the shape. Now coming out easily as we frame front foot with both hands. Big step in as we move towards Parsvottanasana. Now I invite you to bend that front knee as much as you can so you can ground down through the hands without the bricks, at least initially. Try to let that neck relax. Let your head be super, super heavy. Strong through that front leg as you push into the foot, inviting the back of the knee to open, just stretching the hamstring out in a mindful way. No need to push too hard. The right amount of effort. Now inviting more prana, more life force into our hips. Right now, we're in warrior one hips. We're going to move towards warrior two hips as we swing the hip out and then back front. Say 6 times. Swing it out and front. Swinging the hips out and front. Swinging the hips out and front. Couple more times. Swinging hips out. I want to keep that one stable and just move that one there. Yeah. Out. It's like a swinging door. And front. One more time. Out and front. Now we're going to keep the hips squared front. Moving towards a revolved triangle. Right hand comes to the sacrum. The palm faces up. We're going to, left hand comes to the sacrum. The palm faces up. Now we're going to walk that right hand in. Either big toe side or little toe side. So you need a little more height here. So if you did want to work here, that's a great place. If you want to try the crossover with the brick, you tell me, and maybe you can just move that brick. We want to keep the front leg straight. We want to keep the hips relatively stable as we twist and turn. Mid-back does most of the work here. Our heart towards that straight front leg. We can open up that shoulder. You might use the hand. Stretching hand high. And you want to feel this congruence between the shoulder and the arm. So the more that arm moves back, the more that shoulder opens up. So I'm going to take the arm out of it a little bit here. Yeah. And that's probably a pretty good place for you to work there. You want to focus right there. Nice. Super hard shake. Kathy's doing an awesome job. Again, I want to take a little more of this and less of this. Yeah. So let the action come here. Let your scapula do the work. Awesome. Coming out easily, framing front foot with both hands. Big step back as you find your low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. And again, down dog is just one possibility. There's the all fours position. There's child's pose. Taking care of yourself. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone a little higher, more space in the low back. And then looking between the hands as you either step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding. On the inhale, stay low, moving towards a flat back as we find our chair pose. Exhaling, taking it lower. Awesome, beautiful chair. On the inhale, rising on up, glutes engaged, a little open, heart open, throat at the top. On the exhale, neutral spine. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart. A light press of your palms as your weight gathers in your feet. A slight tuck of the chin as we bring our attention inward, watching as our breath flows in and out. And then lifting the chin, tall through the crown. Let's bring hands on hips. Actually, let's go a little bit wider, so outer hip width apart. And let's rock it into half squat as we start to take it on down. When we find our half squat, elbows find the inner thighs, hands find the heart, we can bring knees over heels. I'll invite you to keep rocking that squat from side to side. Now either hanging out in half squat or maybe playing with your Bakasana. As we ground down through the hands, knees either find the armpits or high up on the arms. If they're short of the armpits, you're going to have to hug the midline like crazy. Super, super strong engagement on those inner thighs. And then thinking about shifting the weight into the hands as you float those feet. Beautiful. And then from the Bakasana, I'll invite you to come back down and either walking or maybe floating the feet back, either cycling through Vinyasa or just finding your down dog. Awesome. That was a beautiful, beautiful Bakasana. The crane pose. From our down dog shape, I'll invite you to land the knees ever so lightly, finding your child's pose as you send sits bones back to the heels, arms in extension, the palms face down. Yeah, take your time to get there. Feel the stretch. Now exploring our shoulders as we spin the palms up. And just notice how your shoulders feel with this rotation of the arms. And whatever sensation you're feeling, breathing into that sensation. Now let's come back to that place where our palms are down, and we'll rotate the palms up, we'll work the other rotation of the arms. And this won't be as easy, but again, just noticing your shoulders feel, breathing into that sensation. Now spinning the palms down, let's walk our hands back as we come to a kneeling hero pose. The inner knees connect, and we're seated on our feet. One palm supports the other, finding your breath. How do your knees feel in this shape? Good. Okay. So at home, if your knees, this is something my knees are, your knee is saying, I don't want to do this, you could always take the weight of the body out of the equation as you come on up. I want you to just demonstrate that. Yeah. And that way you just be up in a higher place. I really enjoy that compression on my knees, as old as they are. So I'm going to suggest, if you enjoy that, Kathy, coming back to the more extreme place. Yeah. From here, let's move, find our eagle arms. Arms out to the side. We're going to bring right under left, connecting the palms, elbows up, up, and away. Breathing into back heart. And then adding breath and movement here. Breathing in as we find a little bit of a back bend. On the exhale, rounding it in. Let's do this a couple more times. Breathing in, lifting it up. Exhaling, rounding it in. Breathing in, lifting it up. Exhaling, rounding it in. And then back to our flat back, our neutral spine, elbows up, up, and away. And then releasing. The wind of the arms, one palm supports the other. A slight tuck of the chin as we come back to that focus on our breath. Now second side. Arms out to the side, left under right as we find our eagle arms, elbows up, up, and away. Big breath into back heart. And then adding breath and movement, lengthening through each side ways, finding a little bit of a back bend. On the exhale, rounding it in. Inhaling, lifting it up. Exhaling, rounding it in. One more time here, breathing in. And breathing out. And then coming back to your flat back, your neutral spine, your tall spine. And then releasing the wind of the arms. One palm supports the other, finding our breath. So before I invite you to bring your legs off to one side, identify which side you would naturally do that. And I'll invite you to go the other way as we examine our pattern of movement. So I tend to go to the left, so I'm going to go to the right. And you do you. Two long legs in front. Let's give our knees a little love and consideration. As we bring a hand on each side. Yeah, so just working one knee at a time, warming up that connective tissue. Now fingers find the back of the knee. Now letting all the muscles be flexed as we give that kneecap a little wiggle. Second side, a hand on each side. Fingers find the back of the knee. And then giving that kneecap a little wiggle. So let's end with a twist, and we'll come back to that cross-legged sit. And I'll suggest right leg in a little bit closer. Grounded down through two sits bones, we can bring our hands onto our knees, pulling back with the hands to sit up a little straighter, a little taller. We can bring 5 fingers of the left hand outside left hip. Right hand catches the top of the thigh. Let an inhale grow your spine tall, and then finding a twist. Either looking forward, off to the side, or over that back shoulder. Letting your next inhale bring you through center, and let's find our twist the other way. 5 fingers of the right hand find the ground, left hand catches the top of the thigh. Let that first inhale grow your spine tall, and then finding your twist. And finding a place to look that works for your breath, your body, your balance, your back. Letting your inhale bring you through center. Let's switch the cross of the legs. Take a breath to establish length in the spine as hands find the knees. Pulling back with the hands to settle those shoulder blades and sit up a little straighter, a little taller. Let's twist it to the left again. Left fingers find the ground. Right hand catches the thigh. Let an inhale grow your spine tall, and then finding your twist. Now letting your inhale bring you through center, we'll twist it the other way, inhaling, and then exhaling into the twist. Letting your inhale bring you through center, uncrossing the legs, 2 long legs in front. Let's do a long, slow roll down onto our backs to make sure you got some room overhead. Starting from our tall spine, our neutral spine. Tucking tail and chin as we lay each vertebrae down. Slow, slow, slow. You can always catch the back of the thighs. As if we're laying pearls onto a cushion. Full body stretch when we get down there. Arms by the ears. We want to keep the ribs soft and drawing in, so not too low. And then on your next exhale, sweeping hands by your side as you widen your thighs. Scooting the head back as you flatten your shoulders. Tip of the tongue is down neutral in the mouth. A slight part to the lips, but still breathing in and out through your nose. Doing whatever else feels right and good for you this morning. We won't be here too long. I'm going to ring these yoga bells 3 times. I'll invite you to move your mind before you move your body. Bring your attention back to your breath, watching as it flows in and out. Now shaping your breath as you find a long, slow inhalation, followed by an even longer, slower exhalation. Letting any lingering tension out through those longer, slower out breaths. Just let it all go. Keeping this more relaxing breath, I'll invite you to gently ripple fingers and toes, inviting more prana, more life force into your body. inviting that life force in towards center as we gently circle wrists and ankles. Adding a little shimmy of the shoulders, a little shake of the hips, connecting with your own intuitive sense as to what is right and good for you. Your body, your breath, right here, right now. Now moving towards Apanasana as you draw one knee at a time in towards your heart, your hands catch your shins. And then intuitive movement as you let those thighs massage your center of balance, your low belly, whatever feels right and good. Keeping the knees close in, stretching long through the right arm, rolling onto your side, having a breath there for a breath or so, just letting it sigh out through your mouth. Just letting everything relax, letting everything be heavy. And then a soft tuck of the chin as you push into your hands and come up and find your cross-legged sit. And again, the traditional sit is to have the right leg in a little bit closer. It has to do with the organization of your internal organs. As we sit, one more time, hands find the knees, pulling back with the hands to sit up a little straighter, a little taller. A slight tuck of the chin as 5 fingers of the left hand find the ground. The palm of the right hand faces the sky. Ending our practice as we started, just watching as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. For this place of breath awareness, I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart and bow as you thank yourself for practicing yoga, and as we offer our practice out to each other and to the world. The light within me honors and respects the light within you, and in this light we are one. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, Kathy, for practicing with me.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank everybody for practicing with us, and we'll see you next time in this format. And of course, feel free to comment any questions. Would love to further the practice. So we'll see you next time.